I never thought swimming in my own lake would cost me $1,000, or that it would end with federal agents dragging my HOA president out in handcuffs. I definitely didn't expect it to expose one of the ugliest abuses of power I've ever seen. But that's exactly what happened, and once it started, there was no way to stop it. My name is Ethan Beckett, and for 3 years, that lake behind my house was the one place in my life that felt stable. I bought the property right after my divorce, 5 acres of woods with a spring-fed lake tucked into the back. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't manicured, but it was mine, real quiet. The kind of quiet you can't buy when you live in the city. Every morning, before emails, before the world got loud, I'd swim a few laps in that cold water and just breathe. That morning was no different. The water shocked my system the way it always did, clean and sharp, snapping me awake. The sun was coming up through the trees, birds starting their noise, and for a few minutes I forgot everything. Court papers, lawyers, the life I'd lost. I floated on my back, staring at the sky, thinking maybe I was finally okay. Then that afternoon I found the envelope in my mailbox. Plain white. HOA logo stamped in the corner. I almost tossed it without opening it. I'd never missed a payment, never had a violation, never even gotten a warning. But something made me open it right there at the end of my driveway. Notice of violation. Section 14.7b. Unauthorized use of community water resources. Fine $1,000. I read it 3 times. Community water resources. My lake sat 50 feet inside my property line. It was fed by a natural spring older than the neighborhood itself. I pulled out my phone and called the number at the bottom of the letter. Lorraine Drummond answered on the second ring. Smooth voice, polished, the kind that sounds like it's used to winning. Mr. Beckett, she said, I was expecting your call. I explained calmly that there had to be a mistake. I told her I had the deed, the survey, everything. She didn't hesitate. The HOA has jurisdiction over all water features visible from common areas, she said. Your lake is visible from the walking trail. I asked her where exactly that was written in the bylaws. She sighed, slow and theatrical. Any feature that impacts community aesthetics or property values falls under our oversight. It didn't make legal sense, and I said that. She cut me off. If you don't pay within 30 days, interest accrues at 18% and will place a lien on your property. Other homeowners have already paid similar fines without issue. That stopped me cold. I asked who. She refused to say, then added almost casually, these things have a way of escalating. The line went dead. By evening, I learned just how much she meant that. A neighbor texted me a screenshot from the HOA's private social media group. Lorraine had posted a photo of me swimming taken from the trail zoomed in. My face was clear. The caption read, blatant disregard for community rules. Some people think they're above them. The comments were brutal, half cheering her on, calling me entitled, the other half confused, asking what rule I'd broken. But the damage was done. My private moment blasted in front of 2,000 neighbors. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the dock staring at the water, anger burning in my chest. But underneath it was something else. Calculation. Because water is what I do. I'm a hydrogeologist. I study systems, how they flow, where they connect, where they break. And Lorraine Drummond had just made herself a system worth studying. I started with the HOA's public financial filings. Took me 20 minutes to find them. What I saw made my stomach turn. Fine revenue had jumped from $47,000 2 years ago to over $200,000 last year, a 400% increase. Where was all that money going? I decided then I wasn't paying the fine. I wasn't shouting at meetings or posting angry comments online. I was going to dig. Quietly. Thoroughly. What I didn't know yet was that this wasn't really about the lake. Or even the money. A year earlier, my dog Atlas died. He was a golden retriever, gray around the muzzle, gentle as they come. After my divorce, he was the one constant. Every morning he'd wade into the lake while I swam. Every evening we'd walk the property line together. He made the place feel like home. One morning I woke up to him whimpering. By the time I got him to the emergency vet, it was too late. Acute poisoning, they said. Fast acting. Probably something he'd ingested outside. I didn't have the money or the strength for a full toxicology panel. I buried him under a birch tree by the lake and tried to believe it was an accident. Sitting at my kitchen table, now staring at that fine notice, something clicked. The week before Atlas died, Lorraine had shown up unannounced, clipboard in hand, claiming she was inspecting community water sources. I'd been annoyed, but let it go. A week later, Atlas was dead. The memory hit me like ice water. I called the vet and asked if they still had his blood sample. They did. I ordered the full toxicology panel. $800 I didn't really have, but I needed to know. While I waited, I read every word of the HOA bylaws. All 200 pages. Section 14.7b. The one Lorraine cited applied only to water features inside HOA-managed common areas. Appendix C showed the boundary map. My lake was 50 feet outside it. She had fined me under a rule that didn't apply. Either she hadn't read it, or she didn't care. I called a lawyer. Rowan Thatcher, property law, sharp. She agreed I'd win, but warned me the HOA could drag it out, bury me in legal fees. That's how they get people to fold, she said. For the first time I felt tired. Really tired. Maybe I should just pay. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe Atlas really had just gotten into something in the woods. That doubt almost broke me. Then the toxicology results came back. Brotifacum, industrial-grade anticoagulant rodenticide. Restricted, not something a dog accidentally eats. The concentration in Atlas's blood was lethal several times over. Someone had given it to him, on purpose. I wasn't shaking with anger anymore. I was cold, focused. I started reaching out to other homeowners. Quietly. A retired engineer, a school teacher. Both had been fined for things clearly on their own property. Both had pets die within weeks of Lorraine inspecting their yards. Patterns don't lie. We compared notes, financial records, timelines. Then I found the smoking gun, the HOA's property management contract. Prestige Property Management, LLC. Paid 20% of all administrative revenue. The owner, Sterling Drummond, Lorraine's husband. This wasn't incompetence, it was extortion. At Rowan's suggestion, I requested a meeting with Lorraine to negotiate the fine. I wore a recorder. One-party consent state. Legal. She sat across from me, perfectly composed, until I asked the wrong questions. About the money. About Prestige. About Atlas. That's when the mask cracked. People like you don't understand standards, she snapped. You don't listen unless there's a consequence. I asked her what kind of consequence. She realized too late what she'd said. That recording changed everything. Rowan filed a class action lawsuit. Extortion, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, animal cruelty. More homeowners came forward. The case exploded. At the preliminary hearing, the judge heard the recording, saw the financials. Then Rowan presented the toxicology report and a purchase receipt from a commercial pest control supplier. Buyer Lorraine Drummond. When asked about it under oath, Lorraine invoked the Fifth Amendment. The judge froze the HOA's assets and referred the case for criminal investigation. 2 days later, the FBI called me. Prestige wasn't just our HOA, it was 47 of them across 3 states, millions in fraudulent fines, dozens of suspicious pet deaths. RICO territory. The arrests happened at dawn. I watched the news as agents led Lorraine and her husband away in handcuffs. No speech, no apology, just silence. That evening I stood by my lake again. Same water, same trees, different weight in my chest. Power like hers only works when people stay quiet. I didn't, and everything collapsed. Sometimes the lesson is simple. When someone tells you to accept injustice for the sake of peace, that's exactly when you shouldn't.